In the March episode of Seek Out the Arts, we are exploring themes of rest and tranquility. I hope you'll join us. Hello everyone, Jennifer here, and welcome back to the Daily Connoisseur. In our monthly series, Seek Out the Arts, I like to do a deep dive into art, music, and poetry. And this month, our theme is going to be rest and rejuvenation. Before we begin, I would like to thank the Chic Society, which is the private members group here I have on YouTube. Thank you to the Chic Society for bringing us this wonderful series. If you're interested in joining, I do one podcast every Friday and we go live together once a month. We also have a pen pal program where over 1,000 of you are writing to each other all across the world. It's pretty amazing. Membership is only $1.99 a month, and there are also upper tiers. You've been seeing them here. And at the end of the video, I'm going to mention the Elegant Connoisseurs to you. So thank you to the Chic Society for bringing us this series. Okay, so the month of March houses the spring equinox, and this time of year, I'm ready to move forward with the garden, with going outside, and also I feel a deep need for rest and resting into this season. So I thought it would be fun to explore the theme of rest in today's video. I only chose one painting for us to analyze here. Some of you might see why I chose this, and some of you might be a little perplexed, and I get both. But the painting that I would like to explore today is by Claude Monet, and it's called The Lunch. This was painted in 1876 to 1877. It's one of his later pieces. So it might not be apparent immediately why I chose this painting to represent rest, but when I look at this painting, all I think of is rest and tranquility, and we're going to get into why in just a moment. But let's learn more about this painting first. So we all know that Monet was an impressionistic painter. The Impressionists were moving away from neoclassical style, and they were really focusing on capturing the beauty and the fluidness of everyday life. Monet's work is characterized also by different scales. So he had early large-scale works, then he made way for smaller pieces after 1870, but this work, which is a decorative panel entitled The Lunch, was very large. It was exhibited in 1876 at the Second Impressionist exhibition. So we see a scene here from everyday life. It's tranquil, it's relaxed. There's a small child who is Jean Monet, Monet's son, who sits and plays by the table in a picturesque garden. You can see the house in the background. You can see two ladies walking in the background. There is a charm here. It captures a moment in time. This was a leisurely alfresco luncheon that was enjoyed in the shade on a beautiful afternoon in a garden. So let's have a look. Let's look a bit closer at this. Okay, so one of my favorite things about Impressionism is the play on light. And even though they're kind of moving away from the realism, this feels even more real to me because they capture the movement of the day. So we see little Jean Monet sitting there at the foot of the table, and he's playing with something. It looks like some blocks or a toy. He has a little hat on his head. And then we see the table here, and the table is at the end of a meal. It has not been cleared away. So you know those wonderful leisurely afternoons where you have a picnic outside, or you sit outside and you have some lunch and you don't clear it away immediately. You kind of let it linger. And we see here that there's a silver coffee pot on the table. There are 2 cups, you know, probably to house the coffee or the tea, if that was tea. We see 2 wine glasses that have a little bit of wine at the bottom of them. We see some fruit and some bread, partially eaten, laying down on the table. A little cloth here. I'm not sure if that's a napkin or a shawl or something else. It looks rather large for a napkin. And we see some roses, which indicate that the people having lunch were maybe picking flowers as they were walking to the table and just laid them down on the table. And I love that little side cart right there because when I lived in Paris, that's how Madame Chic brought the meals to the table because the dining room table was really far away from the kitchen. So she would wheel out the meals on this little cart, which seems to be quintessentially French. And then there's a little bench there. And on the bench, we see what looks like a lady's handbag, a lady's straw bag, or tapestry it could be, and a parasol laying down. There is a hat laying in the beautiful flowering tree above, which is another gesture of rest. It's like, take off your hat and hang it on the tree, you know? It's like, we're not clearing the table, we're not using hat racks, we're just using what we have here. And then you see two ladies walking in the background. Now, it's interesting because the people are not the subject of this painting. They are almost like ornamental, just like the flowers are, just like the garden is, just like the hint of the house in the background. You see the sunlit path at the center here, and that really anchors the entire painting. Of course, the table is going to be in the shade. That's the best place to eat on a nice sunny day. And then the ladies are having a tranquil stroll. There is a charm to this painting. There is a certain element of surprise and spontaneity. You know, this is not some rushed afternoon where you eat lunch really quickly, it's cleared away really quickly, you move on to your next task really quickly. There's a sense of lingering. Now, when I looked up a lot of the commentary on this painting, they're all saying that this is everyday life, a quotidian activity for a midday meal. But maybe this was true back then. Maybe back then, everyone had like a very luxurious midday meal. And certainly if you read my Madame Chic series, you know that the meals were very different in France than what we're used to in many other parts of the world. But I think today this would be a very special meal. First of all, to sit al fresco, to linger, to have what looks like, they probably had several courses, but the fact that they also had coffee at the end of the meal, they also had wine, they had, you know, crusty bread to pull, fruit to pick from. It just seems like a bit of a luxury. So maybe back then it was very quotidian, but today this looks like it's a very special afternoon. We give the impression of time that is slowly passing. It's one of those lazy afternoons. Wouldn't you just love to spend an afternoon there? I chose this picture to represent rest because for me, the idea of rest has unfortunately been equated with luxury too. I used to tell myself that resting was a luxury and one that I couldn't afford necessarily. But as we all grow and as I'm trying to incorporate rest more into my life, I want to look at scenes like this and think, yes, this can be an everyday feeling, an everyday mood. The mood here is the opposite of rushing. It is in lingering. It's the opposite of fast. It's slow. It's laid back. It's not like, let's clear the table right away and get it all put back together, right? It's like, allow it to be there. Allow yourself to enjoy the afternoon. This painting just really epitomizes the idea of rest for me. I would love to know what you think about this. And if you have a painting that you love that epitomizes rest, please leave it in the comment section down below. Okay, I'm doing something different for the musical selection this month. I am prescribing you a rest, and here's how we're going to do it. The selection for this month is Adagio for Strings by Samuel Barber. It was written in 1936, and it's his best-known work, arranged for the string orchestra from the second movement of his string quartet, Opus 11. I have the Vienna Philharmonic for you, conducted by Gustavo Dudamel, who I'm a huge fan of. And this piece is about 9 minutes long. So here is the prescription, because I did this week and it was magnificent. So play this piece in the background. It's about 9 minutes. And then lay down or sit in your most comfortable armchair and read a book. Either a book that you're currently reading or something that you've always wanted to begin or dig into. And read while you listen to this piece. When you finish, you are going to feel so rested and rejuvenated. It's absolutely sublime. So I hope that you will do this activity this month and come back and report to us how it went. I've selected 3 poems to read to you now that have themes of rest and tranquility and calmness. So we're going to begin by reading Peace by Sara Teasdale, and she lived from 1884 to 1933. Peace flows into me as the tide to the pool by the shore. It is mine forevermore. It ebbs not back like the sea. I am the pool of blue that worships the vivid sky. My hopes were heaven high. They are all fulfilled in you. I am the pool of gold when sunset burns and dies. You are my deepening skies. Give me your stars to hold. I thought that was beautiful. And now I want to read to you The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars, waiting with their light for a time. I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Okay, that line, I come into the peace of wild things, is one of the most powerful lines in poetry ever. I mean, how true is that? Whenever I feel stressed or anxious, I go outside and I literally come into the peace of wild things. I can go outside and listen to the birds. I go look at the bees buzzing around the lavender. I look for butterflies. I'll get down and on my knees and look at the caterpillars that are eating my my herbs. And I am in the peace of wild things because, like he says in the poem, they don't tax their lives with forethought. They're not worrying about the future, lamenting about the past. They are in the present moment, and that is where the peace lies. So that is one of my new favorite modern works of poetry, and it's by Wendell. And then lastly, I wanted to read an excerpt from Percy Shelley's Ye Gentle Visitations of Calm Thought. Ye gentle visitations of calm thought, moods like the memories of happier earth, which come arrayed in thoughts of little worth, like stars and clouds by the weak winds enwrought, but that the clouds depart and stars remain, while they remain, and ye, alas, depart. This poem really captures how our tranquil thoughts can unfortunately sometimes be brief or fleeting, and that the return of troublesome thoughts happens more often than we would like. I love that he calls it ye gentle visitations of calm thought, that when the calm thought comes to you, it is gentle, it's visiting you. And I think the key to tranquility is not allowing those calm thoughts to leave so quickly, but to hold on to them and to hold on to those as being true. That's another favorite of mine. And I hope that you enjoyed this deep dive into rest and tranquility. I think something that we can take from all of these pieces of art is that a lot of rest and tranquility lies in our mind, what we think, but also in our activities. Like, I hope you experience that when you listen to the Barber piece. And what we choose to do. Like, if you choose to have a lunch outside this spring, then allow it to linger. Don't try to clean it up quickly and return back to your work, but allow yourself to just really soak in the afternoon, soak in the atmosphere. And now I'm going to share the Elegant Connoisseurs with you. The 90-Day Memoir book, available now from Alan Watt and the LA Writers Lab. Jenny Williams from Carrot Top Paper Shop. Elaine Brisebois, certified nutritionist and women's weight loss coach. Ashley Buffa, Freedom Mom's Smart Kids Chore System. Guy Blaze, author of Love Like the French, a guide to better romance and relationships. Dr. Kate Philbin, transpersonal psychologist and professionally certified life and executive coach. Carrie Van Hooser, author of 'Tis the Season for Poetry. Louise Bromhead, psychologist, author of Illness Recovery Well-Being. Macondo Forever, woven placemats. Teresa Maples from Self-Care Routine Cards. Ellen's Scottish Shortbread. Sturm Brothers Custom Design and Fine Jewelry. Studio Duquesa Fine Art Branding and Stationery. And thank you to the following: Catherine Ray, Anne-Marie Ramsey, Ashley Diaz, Jenny Candelaria, Jet Raleigh Heron, Gina K. Henry, Juliette Keeler-Lebien, Karen Lynn Interior Design, Linda Eckloff, Maria Condor, and Moonshadow Welsh Ponies. Thank you so much to the Chic Society for supporting my channel. I greatly appreciate you, and thank you to everyone who watches this series. It means so much to me. I hope that it enriches you as much as it does to me. I would love to know your thoughts on all the subjects that we tackled this week. Let us know in the comment section down below. And in the meantime, keep calm and remain classy, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!